I ever wonder what it takes to become a quality assurance engineer? You know, the people who are making 100, 200, 300K testing code, verifying it, validating it, making sure applications work. Well, if you've ever been curious, that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the skills required? How do you land a job? And why you should think about pursuing it. Let's get into it.
Are you listening?
Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Caleb. I am the founder of People in Tech. And one thing I really love about YouTube is you just never know what videos are going to hit. And we actually launched a video called What Did the QA Engineer Actually Do? Make sure to go check it out in the playlist below. And really what I loved about that is so many of you loved that video and a lot of you left comments. What do I actually need to do? Like, Caleb, can you provide a roadmap? Can you go into more details? You guys ask, you shall receive. And that's what we're going to be diving into. So let's start with the basics. What is a quality assurance engineer? So a QA engineer is ultimately a developer who's going to be working along other developers, but they're ensuring the quality of the application. I've always kind of said this before. Developers are all about, designing, developing, and delivering an app. But once you deliver it, once the app is in users' hands and they're using it and they have feedback and they run into bugs and issues, a QA engineer is more or less going to test the app as thoroughly as they can to ensure that the app still works as intended. Because what ends up happening long term is, even though you might launch, let's say, your MVP with 15 features, you're going to add more features over time, but users are going to expect all the features prior to be working, and that's where a QA engineer can give developers confidence. So let's talk about the essential skills and knowledge you need to become a QA engineer. So let's start with the hard skills first and then go into the soft skills. So when we're talking about technical skills, you are still going to have to know how to code. And you're going to have to know a programming language like Python or Java, and you're more or less going to understand the fundamentals. Now the difference is, I'm not going to be asking you to build applications, I'm going to be asking you to test applications. So not only are you going to need to know a programming language, you're going to need to understand the testing framework. My two favorite testing frameworks are Cypress and Selenium. But then there's a lot of other things, because sometimes QA engineers are doing unit testing. So you got to get familiar with tools like JUnit or TestNG, or maybe if you're working with something front end, you might have to work with Mocha or Jest. But ultimately, understanding testing frameworks is going to be essential. And then lastly, you got to understand the different types of testing. There's functional testing, there is regressive testing, there's performance testing. There's a lot of aspects when it comes to an application, how fast it loads, the functionality of it. And as these applications become more complicated, you got to be able to test those different various sections of the app. Oh, I can't forget security testing. You don't want your app to be hackable, and sometimes you count on QA engineers to actually make sure an app can't be hacked. So they're going to do penetration testing at times, but that's usually an odd man out. Again, it's usually the first three: functional, regression, and performance testing. Now, in terms of soft skills, you're going to have strong communication skills, because you're going to be working with developers, you're going to be working with other QA engineers, you're going to be working with the stakeholders, because there's going to be times where you have to work with the developer to understand the code to be able to better test it. Or you might have to work with the stakeholder or the product manager, the one who's asking for this specific feature or piece of functionality, to understand the end result, so you can actually figure out what are the pieces you need to test and look out and focus on. You're also going to have critical thinking skills, because as a QA engineer, really what you need to do is you need to be detail oriented, and you need to think of edge cases that a typical user might encounter but might not intend on doing. What really makes good QA engineers is they think of all the edge cases that no one is thinking of. So let me give you just a quick example. Most applications, you log in, they ask you to enter your email, your password, then hit the login button. But what happens if you enter your password and then the login button? What happens if you enter email, no password, login button? I know sound bizarre, but you need an application to be built in a way that can handle those edge cases. And that's what a QA engineer is going to do. They're going to push the app in limits that no one wants to do, but they probably will end up doing just by accident. So let's talk about the educations and certifications you can get to become a QA engineer. Now, when it comes to education, it's always highly encouraged to have a bachelor degree, because it will just separate yourself from your peers, but definitely not required whatsoever. We kind of know, similar to software development, if you have the skills, if you're self-taught, you have all these free resources from Udemy, Free Code Camp, YouTube, Team Treehouse, the list goes on and on. So as long as you know how to code and you know how to work with the testing frameworks, you should be good to go. And then there's the Certified Software Quality Assurance certification, also very popular, very similar, just a check mark showing, hey, I know the basics of QA engineering. I know how to QA engineer. I know at least 1 or 2 frameworks. I know how to unit test. I am good to go. And then lastly, how do I land a job as a QA engineer? Where really there's only 3 things I would highly recommend you do. So number 1 is build a portfolio. Now here's the cool thing. You can take any existing app, maybe a popular web app, and you can just write tests against it, put that up on GitHub. And really what I would do is like try to push it in terms of automation. Try to figure out, hey, I have a user who logs in and adds these things, you know, to the cart, remove things from the cart, edit the cart, you know, add an item, change an item, whatever the different edge cases you can think of. Like you want to be able to demonstrate that you have a QA mindset, that you're thinking of edge cases no one else is thinking of. 2 is join some online communities. You should be networking, and you should let people know, hey, I want to be a QA engineer. I want to focus on the testing and the quality of an app, not necessarily building for an app. So make sure to join communities that are focused on testing. And then lastly, attend any workshops, because as technology evolves, QA and testing evolves. And like I said earlier, you want to know about the different types of testings. Join workshops or dive into each section and see what you can learn. And that's really it. If you want to be a QA engineer, you just need to develop some of these skills, network a little bit, and just be very intentful with what type of role you're looking for. But what did we miss? What questions do you guys have? This video is for you. Let me know in the comments below. What else would you like to learn? Make sure to give this video a like, hit subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Take care.